What you're about to witness is a sharp and revealing exchange between Senator John Kennedy and judicial nominee Mr. Olsen. On the surface, it may look like questions about sermons and personal beliefs, but what's really at stake is far deeper.
Senator Kennedy.
Mr. Olsen, I believe I looked at your resume. You are an elder in the Reformed Presbyterian Church of North America. Is that correct?
I am an ordained elder in the RPCNA. I am not actively serving.
In August of 2015, you gave a sermon at the Second Reformed Presbyterian Church. Do you remember that?
2015, I think that might have been a Sunday school lecture, but I spoke, yes.
During that sermon, you said that marriage was not intended for all people, including, and I'm going to quote your words, our handicapped friends are our persons with physical disabilities that might prevent the robust marriage that we're called to, close quote. Did you say that?
I think I did, Senator, yes.
You believe that folks with handicaps and physical disabilities should not be able to marry?
No, Senator. I was explaining the meaning of Christ's words that some, to use Christ's terms, are eunuchs by birth, and explaining that the meaning of that verse in the context of those who are called to singleness, and that there are various reasons why individuals don't get married.
But what about folks who are handicapped or who have developmental disabilities?
I was using that example as an illustration of why some don't get married, not as a kind of reason why someone shouldn't. It was illustrative of the condition in which some find themselves, but certainly not in any stretch of the imagination suggesting that they couldn't or shouldn't, merely that in some cases they don't.
On July 24, 2022, you gave another sermon at the Columbia Reformed Presbyterian Church. Do you remember that?
The Columbus Reformed Presbyterian Church, yes.
You were speaking about sexuality, is that correct?
I gave two sermons at that church, and the main topic of both of those was not human sexuality.
In one of them you said, quote, transgenderism, homosexuality, fornication, and all sorts of sexual perversions was a form of hypocrisy from, quote, your words, shame on the inside. Did you say that?
I don't recall the precise wording, but that sounds
What did you mean by that?
Yeah, Senator, thanks for the opportunity to clarify that. So I was preaching a sermon on a passage in the Old Testament about an Old Testament King Uzziah who was stricken with leprosy.
I don't have a lot of time, Counselor. Tell me what you meant by that.
Sure. That many.
Do you believe that fornication is a form of sexual perversion?
Senator, my personal views, my religious views, what I was speaking at that time were for the edification of the people that I was preaching to. As a judge sitting here today, my obligation is to apply the rule of law.
Yeah, I understand that, but my obligation is to try to understand you, because this is a lifetime appointment. Do you believe that fornication, which I assume you mean by that the sex act, is a form of sexual perversion?
Senator, the doctrine of the church that I was at does state that fornication is a sin.
Well, what do you mean by fornication?
Any sexual act outside the bounds of marriage.
Okay. So you believe premarital sex is a sexual perversion?
Senator, my personal views, as many have said before, I won't comment, but the doctrine of the church that I belong to would.
Is it your doctrine?
I took, as an elder, I took a vow.
Is it your doctrine?
As an elder of the RPCNA.
Is it your doctrine?
Senator, my personal views as a judge are not the object of what I would rule
All right.
upon.
Give me one more minute, please, Mr. Chairman. On August the 23rd, 2015, you spoke in Sunday school, and you said, quote, "I'm not saying women can't have careers. That's not what I'm saying." No, strike that. I'm reading the wrong quote. I apologize. In your talks at your Sunday school, you said that God, quote, has called wives to be subject to their husband, end quote, and to, quote, serve the good of your husband and support his calling, close quote. Did you say that?
Again, I gave a couple Sunday school lectures around that time. I don't recall the particular one, but I think I recall saying something along those lines.
What did you mean by that?
So in Christian marriage, as explained by the apostles, I was describing our church's understanding of what Christian marriage ought to look like.
And you believe Christian marriage provides that women have to be subservient to their husbands?
Senator, I think I was quoting either a passage in Ephesians or those are not my words. Those are words in the
Well, you
scriptures.
said them. Do you believe them?
Senator, I believe every word of the Bible.
How the convictions of a lifetime appointee could shape the interpretation of law in a nation that values equality and civil rights. Senator Kennedy dug into Mr. Olsen's past statements from sermons and Sunday school lectures, asking pointed questions about marriage, sexuality, and the role of women. The nominee had previously spoken in a religious context that some interpreted as suggesting that people with disabilities might not be suited for marriage, and that premarital sex, or fornication, is a sin. While Mr. Olsen clarified that he was explaining his church's doctrine rather than creating policy, Kennedy pressed him on whether he personally agrees with these views, because when someone receives a lifetime judicial appointment, personal beliefs can inevitably shape the lens through which they interpret laws affecting millions of Americans. For example, Kennedy asked about the idea that women should be subservient to their husbands, which the nominee had referenced in the context of Christian marriage. Olsen emphasized that he was quoting scripture, but the question is, how do such religious interpretations interact with civil law? Can a judge separate personal religious beliefs from decisions that impact people of all faiths or no faith at all? That's a critical concern for a lifetime appointment. Another key issue was the nominee's comments about individuals with disabilities. While Olsen explained that he was illustrating why some people remain single rather than arguing they shouldn't marry, the line between personal belief and judicial philosophy becomes significant. For viewers, this is an important lesson in understanding how judicial philosophy works. Nominees are often questioned not just on their professional qualifications, but on how their values and worldviews might shape their rulings on fundamental rights. What makes this hearing particularly educational is that it demonstrates the delicate balance between freedom of religion and equality under the law. The questions Kennedy raised weren't meant to attack faith. They were meant to assess whether those beliefs could influence decisions on civil rights, marriage equality, and protections for vulnerable populations. It's a prime example of how Senate confirmations serve a critical function in vetting judges beyond their resumes. For viewers, the takeaway is this. Hearings like these aren't just about past speeches or sermons. They're about accountability, transparency, and understanding how judges' worldviews could affect the daily lives of Americans. It also reminds us of the importance of asking tough questions, especially on topics like equality, civil rights, and access to justice for all, including women, LGBTQ+ individuals, and people with disabilities. If you care about the integrity of the judiciary and how personal beliefs may shape legal decisions, this is exactly the type of questioning you need to pay attention to. Understanding these nuances isn't just Civics 101. It's about ensuring that the people we entrust with lifetime appointments respect both the Constitution and the diverse communities they serve. For those watching, I encourage you to think critically. When a nominee's personal or religious beliefs intersect with their potential legal decisions, what standards should be in place to safeguard equality and fairness? How do we hold appointees accountable while respecting their faith and professional experience? This exchange between Senator Kennedy and Mr. Olsen is more than a Senate hearing clip. It's a lens into the ongoing conversation about judicial philosophy, civil rights, and the responsibilities of those who interpret the law for all Americans.